I like that they keep improving Diablo 4, but the pacing of our corporate Blizzard overlords is just rough. There's literally a patch almost every other day at this point. So let's talk about something we can control. We're going to talk about settings. It's the settings. First off, turn off voice chat because people are gross, except my mom. Uncheck auto-join voice channels, change voice chat mode to push-to-talk, select no device for both voice chat output and microphone. Change the slider to 0 for chat volume, microphone output, and chat focus. A major part of the Diablo franchise is its sound effects. That's how we know we're getting those sweet, sweet Legos. Changing the item drop sounds adjusts when you'll hear the audio cues for loot based on its rarity. You want to check the boxes for all item types and set the minimum quality to legendary, but you can select uniques or rares if desired. Finally, at the very bottom of the sound page, turn off player audio on error. This stops the annoying out of mana or need more time prompts when you're button mashing. In the gameplay section, we're going to turn on advanced tooltip info. This shows us what the minimum and maximum rolls for an item can be. However, I don't recommend turning on advanced tooltip compare. This could have been really good, but quickly got in my way. Gear has so many affixes you can roll, it's a moot point to know that you're losing critical strike on X, but gaining critical strike against Y. You're also going to change your gear so often during leveling that it doesn't even matter and it's not worth the hassle. The HUD config option was a massive upgrade for me. Moving everything to the left was a huge quality of life in my opinion. You can see a side-by-side comparison of the centered versus the left corner looks. The left corner is drastically better because when you do peek down mid-combat to see something, you can absorb more information overall in that fraction of a second. Our health and energy bars are right next to each other, our cooldowns and active effects are right next to our inner sight gauge, and things like potions, your town portal, and mount are tucked neatly around your HP bar. It may take a bit of getting used to, but it's totally worth it in my mind. Oh, it also puts the chat on the right side where it belongs. Next up is the player highlights. I only use this when I'm doing world bosses. As you can see on the screen, we're shadow stepping, dashing, and evading all around the map, so I tend to lose track of my character in the chaos. You can also see this example where it adds a red film over hostile enemies. Skipping to the accessibility section, I changed the cursor size to large so it's easier to see. Just a small note, you can also access the player highlights and item drop sounds through this menu option too. If you're comfortable with the default settings, good for you, but I'm not. So this is totally a personal preference thing. I'm just going to put this up on screen so you can see it. This is an overall of what I've got going on. You can pause the video here or check out the doobly-doo for a link to this overview graphic. First, we're going to unbind the skill assignment from S. It's unnecessary and whole ass in the way of my sausage fingers. Next, I change skills 1 through 3 to be on Q, W, and E. Skill 4 goes on a side button on our mouse. Evade also goes on the other side button on our mouse. T is for town portal and B is for back. If you use anything else other than this, you're a heathen and I don't like you. Potions go on 1 so they're easily within reach. Mount up goes on Z. Spurs on the same mouse button as evade for muscle memory. I put combat dismount on space, but I hardly use it. We're going to put our action wheel on G, more on this in a moment. And finally, to stop those panic zoom-ins, uncheck the zoom on mouse wheel. This feature is absolute ass. I hate this thing. You can customize your action wheel by pressing our new keybind of G and edit which commands go where. I think these wheels are pretty close to the default with just some minor changes. I use my primary wheel, aka the middle wheel for actions I'm going to be doing a lot. Hello goes on top and goodbye goes on the bottom. Thanks and leave dungeon go on the diagonals, so it's just a quick flick. PvP and Inspect go on the bottom left. My left wheel is mostly for the invite to party or trade, and some random emotes I use during quests. My right wheel is really where the magic happens. We've got the majority of the emotes I use, so I could be antisocial and we're not going to type in chat. You have options to set keybinds for your action wheel in the controls tab. I really wish setting these keybinds was more user-friendly. You have to know the exact position of the emote you're trying to bind, otherwise you're going to spend like 10 minutes flipping back and forth between the wheel and the settings page, and it's just not very user-intuitive. There you go, these are the settings for Diablo 4 that I recommend changing, and you'll probably have a better experience while you're doing so. To have a better... What's the fucking outro? I don't know my... These are the settings... Fuck, I don't know, what is...